Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. My guest today is Cameron Stovall, who is a guest at this year's Helen Keller Lecture at Troy University. Thank you for joining me here today.
Yes, sir.
And as I mentioned, you're here as a part of the Helen Keller Lecture, and you had an opportunity to tell your story about overcoming a disability and what it meant to you to be where you are today to overcome that. And if you would, kind of, I guess, for the folks that didn't get to hear you at the lecture, kind of share your story with us and what brought you here and to be a part of this.
Right, absolutely. Well, I graduated in 2006 from high school. To keep it all short, I went to Auburn University. I graduated there in May of 2012 with a wildlife and forestry degree. I graduated on Sunday and started work on a Monday. And what I did, I pretty much, if you had some acreage of timber, I would come tell you what it was worth. And then I had two logging crews that would work for me, and they would come cut it, haul it to the mill, and then the mill would make toilet paper, stuff like that that we use on a daily basis. So my job was awesome, but it left me a lot of free time in the mornings to do another passion of mine, which was hunting. So April 22nd of 2014, I decided to go turkey hunting on a farm in Oaks Bluff, Alabama, close to where I'm from. And long story short, I was mistaken for a turkey through some misunderstanding and some miscommunication. I was shot with what they call a 3.5-inch shell, number 6 shot, and that particular shell goes out of the end of the barrel at 1,350 feet per second, and around 150 of the pellets hit me, 2 of them directly in my eyeballs, which was the major damage, plus my right lung had collapsed. Something that I love to touch on is I was carried after the accident to a fence post that I sat down by before the ambulance got there, and I really realized, what was important in my life, and that if I was making a difference. And I thought about every second could have been my last breath, and I was 100% sure I was about to die, so I thought about every breath. And then life started to become real. And it goes back to, I find hope in Christ, and I accepted Christ when I was 8, and that's what I find hope in, and I hope that people strive to do that. And without that, I wouldn't have made it this far. But I've been able to encounter so many people through this story of, what I call hope, that I would have never encountered before. So it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't change this accident happening.
And now, of course, it's not all bad because the accident happened, you were blinded, but
right.
You can see now.
Right. I spent 7 weeks completely blind, and through Dr. Morris, Robert Morris, who's the president of the Helen Keller Foundation, he's done 19 surgeries on me and allowed me to get some vision back in my left eye. I have what they call 10% vision. It's kind of like, to college kids, it would be like you had a real rough night or something, and you kind of squinting, and the next morning you rub your eye and you squinted, and it's real blurry. What I see is never clear because I don't have a lens in my left eye. My right eye is a prosthetic now, which is a whole other story. But 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a ton compared to being completely blind. And I've been able to do all kinds of things. I've been able to hit a golf ball over 300 yards and fish and hunt, and I've killed 2 deer with a crossbow. This is all since my accident, and I'm not bragging on myself. The Lord's grace has allowed me to do that, and I'm bragging on the people that surrounded me. The Helen Keller Foundation, Dr. Morris, and the people that devoted their whole lives to developing a way to give me some vision back. And
a big part of that was due to a cornea transplant, correct?
That's right, yeah.
And that's one of those things we talk about, the importance of something as simple as donating and for something like this.
Yeah, so without a cornea transplant, I wouldn't have the vision that I have today, and all that works together. But if somebody wouldn't have, it's a simple question when you get your driver's license, they ask you, do you want to be an organ donor? And all you have to say is yes. You don't need those organs when you're gone anyways. And so it's blessed me to have the vision that I have through a donor. And all they did was answer a question. And that's something that I advocate for now, is to be a donor.
And of course, how does it make you feel to be able to share your story in a forum like this here at the Helen Keller Lecture?
Well, it's great, man. I was in a completely different business than I am now, and but I wouldn't change it because I get to encourage people on a daily basis, and that's priceless to me. We all go through struggles. We all have our own struggles, and some are greater than others. But it's the way that you handle those struggles after something happens in your life. The way that you handle those struggles after it is what becomes a blessing and also an encouragement to other people. And that's just priceless to me.
It's definitely an inspiring story, and we're glad that you came to Troy University to share that story with us here on this show and with the folks here at the Helen Keller Lecture. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.